All right. So now we're back learning GDScript from zero, and this is going to be an open source project by GDQuest.com. We're going to continue where we left off over here at looping over dictionaries. All right. So like with arrays, we can loop over dictionaries. We can loop over both their keys and their values. So let's see how this works with two examples. Okay. So first, displaying an inventory's contents. Okay. To display the player's inventory, we're going to need to know what it contains. We need the name and amount of each object. True. So like this right here. And from code, we can only achieve that by looping over the whole dictionary and processing key value pairs one by one. Okay. So to get the list of keys in the dictionary, we can call its keys member function. So we've got this dictionary with all this stuff in the inventory. Then this run function where we're saying for item name in inventories.keys, print item name. All right. So it's going to print this, this, and this using this keys function. All right. So let's run it and we can see it happens just like that. But it's something we do so much that we don't need to call the function at all. All right, cool. So instead, we can directly type the variable name in a for loop after the in keyword. The language understands that we implicitly, want to loop over the dictionary's keys. All right, so we've got the run function, and we're saying for item name in inventory, print item name. So it'll do exactly the same thing without having to say inventory.keys. Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be good. So we can get the values with the syntax dictionary at key, as we learned in the previous lesson. We can loop over the inventory keys, get the corresponding values, and display all that information in the user interface. All right. So we got the run function. We're saying for item name in inventory, var item count equals inventory at item name. All right, so that's going to give us the count. And then we'll say print item name plus a colon plus string item count. All right, and there's a space after this colon. So it's pretty much going to print out just like this, but we're not going to have these quotes in it because we're not telling it to put quotes in. It's not like, you know, we're not putting quotes here and here. But anyway, regardless of that, let's run it. And we can see Healing Heart 3, Gems 5, Sword 1. All right. So instead of printing the key value pairs to the output console, we can code and call a dedicated function that displays items in the user interface. All right. So we got the run function again for item name in inventory. We're going to say var item count equals inventory at item name. And then we have this add item function, and we're going to have item name, item count as the arguments for it, and the item count is going to be right here. We're going to make the little item count variable right here, and then the item name is going to be this one. Cool. All right, and it's going to print out some stuff like this. So that add item function puts the item name here, and then it puts the item count here for each one of these. All right, cool. I wonder, I doubt that this is built in. I doubt it. But we can make our own we're going to be making our own function, so no big deal. All right. So mapping grid cells to units. We can also use a dictionary to map units to their position on a game board, okay? So that's how we typically code a board game, a grid-based RPG or a tactical RPG. So we're going to have to do this for the checkers game for sure. Let's go. So while we focused on string keys so far, GDScript dictionaries accept any value type as a key, allowing us to map anything to anything. Oh, okay. The only limitation is that every key must be unique. Also true. But that's easy, especially on like a board, because we can just say, okay, this one right here is vector 200, and then just name them all like that. No big deal. All right. So yeah, so we have this var unit cells dictionary with vector 201 robot. So we've got that right there. 22, we've got turtle 012012, and then we've got 0123 0 robot. All right. So using a for loop, we can use the key value pairs to place units on the board at the start of the game. All right. So we're going to say run func run for cell in unit cells, var unit equals unit cells at cell. And then we'll do the add unit cell. All right. So unit cells is this thing right here. We're saying var unit at unit cells at, var unit equals unit cells at cell. So unit cells at cell, which would be vector 2, 1 or whatever. We're going to add unit, which is unit cell at cells, which would be robot. And then the cell, if we're doing the first one, it'd be robot. And then the cell would be vector 2, 1, 0. All right, cool. So hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, I understood it. And if you didn't, just stay tuned and we'll fix this up in real code. All right. So in the following practices, what a cop out, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain that any better than that. So let's go. In the following practices, we will loop over dictionaries and process their content. All right. So we've got the practices here. Displaying the inventory is going to be the first one. And we need to display the player's inventory on the screen, but lack the code to do so. We're going to use a loop to display every item. All right. So let's go. So the goal here is, okay. So the goals, we use a dictionary to represent the player's inventory in this game. The dictionary keys are the name of items, and they map to the number of items that the player owns, okay? We need to loop over the dictionary and display the name and amount of every item in the dictionary, okay? So to do so, we're going to call the display item function, and it takes 2 arguments, the item name and the amount. Okay. So code uses a for loop. There we go. There's the first hint, but we should have known that. We're going to use a for loop to start for, let's say, item in inventory. Item in inventory. There we go. Don't forget the colon and drop it down, and there we go. So for item in inventory, I guess we're going to do display item. Display item. And it's going to take the item name and the amount. So the item name is going to be item, right? Item. And then the amount is going to be inventory at item. Okay. So the first item would be healing heart in inventory at item. Inventory at, come on now. At item. All right. Would be 3. All right. So let's see if it pops up like that over here. Yes, healing heart 3, gems 5, sword 1, and we're good. So now we're going to be placing units on the board. So we have a dictionary named units that maps a cell position on the grid to a unit to put there. Okay, true, just like in the thing earlier. So using for loop and the place unit function, we're going to place every unit in the units dictionary at the desired position on the game board. Okay, so another for loop. So for a unit in units, right? Let's do something. So we're going to put place unit, and it's going to have a vector 2 in the first one, the cell, and then the unit type is going to be a string. Okay. So the cell would be this, and then the unit type there. So we'll say, place unit, and we will put, unit. All right, because that's going to be, because unit in units is going to be the keys, right? And then we're going to also put the value, which would be units at unit. True? Pretty sure that's how that works. Units at unit, which equals this. Let's run it. All right, and look, it does that, and it gives us check marks, and we're good. All right, so the lesson's complete. And we're now on to, anyway, I messed that up, whatever. So now we're on to value types, and we'll see you next time.